Ciao everyone, as promised, I am here to talk about the Sanremo Music Festival, specifically the songs we had, the entries we had this year participating in the festival, and of course, we are going to start with the winner. Just like last year, I'll try to go in order. I hope, like normally, I should be able to go in order without issues. So, of course, we start from the song that ranked first. I am talking about a song that probably, if you're from Italy, you like 90% you already saw it everywhere on social media. Chances are. If you're outside of Italy, probably you didn't see them yet, but they might come according to the wedding season in your country. I am talking about Per Sempre Sì by Sal Da Vinci. And of course, there was drama because every year there is drama about whatever songs win, we have drama about it. So don't worry. Thank you, Rumi, for saying hi. So, first of all, we start with a couple of notes concerning the author of the song, like the performer, actually, because there are several authors. I'm not going to list all of them, but they are several, like the writers, the composers, and whatnot. You can find it easily on Wikipedia. So, couple of notes concerning Sal Da Vinci. Now, first of all, Sal Da Vinci real name is not Sal Da Vinci, and like this year I will make some points about the real names of the singers because apparently this is mind blowing. So, the real name of Sal Da Vinci is Salvatore. So, Sal, diminutive of Salvatore, makes sense. Michael Sorrentino. Who could have guessed? Anyway, why Michael? Because I don't know if you know it, but Sal Da Vinci, despite being from Naples, Italy, he was born in New York City. Because his father was as well a singer, a performer, and while he was performing in the US, Salvatore was born. So here we are. Anyway, so he's a singer, he's a songwriter, he's an actor, and of course, as you might have noticed, if you don't know, we are going to see it in this analysis. He is from Naples and he is strongly connected, we could say, to what is called what is known as the Napolitan typical genre song. So I'm talking about musica neomelodica, which is the typical music genre coming from Naples. Also, generally, is what people outside of Italy think the Italian music is. Because, of course, this type of song, we can put it like that, this genre, had a lot of success outside of Italy. We have several singers who became famous and sing and they sing songs from this genre. But of course, the Italian music, if you are a little bit into Sanremo Music Festival, it's not just that. But in this case, our winner is what is, we could say, stereotypical considered Italian music. So, the translation, very simply, it means forever, yes. But what is the meaning of the song? In this case is quite simple. Quoting what Sal Da Vinci stated, because of course in December when the songs are picked, they are also presented by the performers, the authors, basically by the singers who are going to perform the song during the festival. And the way Sal Da Vinci presented the song is the song celebrates the greatest promise you can make in life. That yes, that unites two souls forever. That's why the wedding song, because this song is about wedding. But it's not that simple. He said that yes, he told the story through the story of a wedding. Also because the song is a biographical song and it is dedicated to his wife. But he said that the meaning of the song goes beyond that because it is about love, but promises and commitment, generally speaking. So, promises must be kept. You have to put in the work. And when asked by Carlo Conti, the host of Sanremo Music Festival 2026, Carlo Conti asked, did you expect your very famous song Rossetto e Caffè from his previous participation to become that famous? Do you have the same feeling for this song? And very humbly, and this is something that he kept throughout the whole festival, he said, I think nobody knows anything. As in, I don't know how the audience is going to receive my song. In this case, both for Rossetto e Caffè and per Sempre Sì, since it won very well. But he stayed very humble and said, in the end, I cannot be sure 100% if my song is good or not. The only thing I can do is delivering it to the audience and let the audience decide. If the audience is going to appreciate it, then it's going to be a success. And to be fair, he was right. Now, was this song, however, one of the favorite? No, chat. No, we are going to talk about it at the end. But just so you know, the lyrics were considered the most banal, the worst of the entire music festival. Just like I did last year, I tried to recover all the analysis by Lorenzo Coveri, who is a scholar from Accademia della Crusca, the institute which regulates how the Italian language works, its rules and whatnot. At this point, I think I might do a reel about it, so I don't have to explain myself every time. But anyway, his analysis was quite critic of these lyrics, and to be fair, it's true, they are quite simple. So, first of all, he gave a score of 4 out of 10. Keep in mind that in Italy, to be considered like sufficient in grades, we have 6 out of 10, not 5 out of 10. So, like 4, it's like very bad grade. It would be like in like Anglo-Saxon terms, it would be an F, okay? Yet another love ballad, undoubtedly sincere, but filled with the cliché of the Sanremo song genre. And in fact, this is considered the classic love song made for Sanremo. Why did it won? I am going to give my analysis at the end. But first, let's see these lyrics. Now, it's going to be very simple, it's going to be very plain from a certain point of view. If you're learning Italian, very useful, I would say, because it's very simple, except for the last part, but we are going to talk about it. Now, we have an intro, very simple. È cominciato tutto quanto dal principio. Io, che per te ero solo un uomo sconosciuto, poi diventato un re dal cuore innamorato, tu una regina ora vestita in bianco sposa. Everything started right from the beginning. I, who to you was just a stranger man, literally, then became a king with a heart in love. You, a queen now dressed in white, implied as a bride. Now, è cominciato tutto quanto dal principio. Lorenzo Coveri defines this as a bit pleonastic because where do you start if not from the beginning? So already this repetition wasn't very well built. Then we have the contraposition between me and you, so the two protagonists. We have the metaphor of the king and the queen, nothing revolutionary. And then we have a little bit of an issue concerning Italian. Now, normally, when we are talking about wearing something of a certain color, we don't say I'm dressed in white, which works in English. In fact, probably, I don't know if this is borrowing from Napolitan dialect or from English, but this is a collocation that works in English but not in Italian. Because normally in Italian, when we are dressed in a color, so dressed in white, dressed in red, dressed in black, we use the preposition di, literally of. So we say vestita di bianco, vestito di nero. We don't say vestita in bianco, vestita di bianco, okay? It's like saying, literally speaking, in English, dressed of white, because it's a different syntax, it's a different collocation. So, there are, however, some expression also in Italian using in, so dressed in, vestito or vestita in. These examples are I'm using the infinitive, so to be dressed in. Vestirsi in divisa, so dressing in uniform. Vestirsi in borghese, which means dressing in plain clothes, when you have to basically hide yourself, mainly used for police officers. So from people who are supposed normally to be wearing a uniform, but they are just like in common clothes, so like in everyday clothes, to not be spotted. Then vestirsi in costume, so in costume, generally if you are going to a masked party, so carnival and whatnot, or always carnival, vestirsi in maschera, so wearing masks basically. Now, why the white? This is common in many cultures, but not all of them. In Italy, of course, the wedding dress for the bride is in white, because the white is a symbol of purity and it symbolizes the beginning of a new part of your life, so the blank slate sort of situation. And again, it's the traditional color for brides, okay, for wedding dresses for brides. Not for the groom. For the groom, like, with whatever. Generally, you have the suit in black and white, but... Now, is it still very much respected, the tradition? I would say generally yes. However, not mandatory. Like when I'm going to get married, I'm not going to be dressed in white. It's also true that I'm a bit uncommon because I'm not very traditional person at all. My family is not very traditional. For example, my mom had a pastel pink dress, we could call it like that, no, more like pearl pink sort of situation. But yeah, we like in my family we are not very traditional, but if you generally still nowadays traditional weddings or generally weddings see the bride dressed in white. So we have the beginning of our story. Two people not knowing each other, building something and then getting married. Very simple, very plain. Then we have the first verse. Abbiamo sognato figli in una grande casa e superato tutte le difficoltà, perché un amore non è amore per la vita se non ha affrontato la più ripida salita. We dreamed of children in a big house and overcame all the difficulties. Because a love is not love for life if it hasn't faced the steepest climb or hill. Now, salita is just like when you go up, basically. We have here two particularities. One is the polyptoton, so the repetition of the same word, in this case amore, love, with different syntactic functions or nuances of meaning to emphasize the concept of true love. So basically, in this case, he repeats the same word two times to reinforce the concept, so to stress the emphasis on love. And then we have a metaphor here where the difficulties in life are represented by this climb, this like going uphill sort of situation. Again, we have the beginning, they meet, they get married, classic family, big house, a lot of children, difficulties in life. We made it because our relationship was based on true love. Very, very simple, clean, straightforward. Then we have the pre-chorus. E si accenderà la musica e qui ti aspetterò. Il più grande giorno ti regalerò. And the music will light up. And here I will wait for you. I will give you the greatest day. So, here we have si accenderà la musica. You can light up, but also turn on. Okay, so you have this double meaning in Italian in this case. I will wait for you here. I guess it's hinting to the part of the wedding where the groom is waiting for the bride at the altar. And then we have il più grande giorno, because in Italian, when we say il grande giorno, it depends on the context, but it often refers to the wedding day, so the wedding. Because for many people, their best day, the greatest day in life is when they get married. Choices. Anyway, again, very plain. Then we have the chorus. And here, this is the part that you are going to see a lot in Reels if you follow like Italian communities or like probably also TikToks. I don't know. I don't use TikTok. But that type of content. Saremo io e te per sempre legati per la vita che senza te non vale niente, non ha senso vivere. It will be me and you forever, bound for the life that, without you, it's worth nothing. There is no point in living. Classic, like, guys, it explains itself. It's not that I can say anything more. The only thing that I can say, this is an hyperbole. Because, like, of course, like, oh my god, I can't live without you. But nothing out of the ordinary. And then we have the second section. Con la mano sul petto, io te lo prometto davanti a Dio. With my hand on my chest, I promise that to you before God. That we are going, me and you. And so what is he promising? What is being said before and what is repeated in the post-chorus. Now, with the hand on the chest, generally symbolizes a promise. The chest is where we have our heart, so symbol of love. Again, nothing revolutionary, very simple. Io te lo prometto davanti a Dio. So this might be a reference to, again, what happens in the wedding ceremony. Also, very important. I am talking about the Catholic wedding ceremony, okay? And in fact, he says, io te lo prometto davanti a Dio. I promise that to you before God, in front of God. Because, of course, Sal Da Vinci is very traditional, nothing to say about it. But also, I would like to point out something because I know it's not that common. It's something that happens specifically in Italy, but in many other countries, this is not possible. As far as I've been told, I'm talking about having the religious ceremony and the civil ceremony being all in one, basically. So, in Italy, a Catholic wedding can be legally binding without a separate civil ceremony. Thing that happens in other countries, however, thanks to the Lateran Pacts, Patti Lateranensi, agreement between the Italian state and the Vatican City. This type of marriage is called a cerimonia concordataria, concord marriage, where the Catholic priest acts as both a religious officiant and a civil authority. During the ceremony, the priest reads articles from the Italian Civil Code, asks the couple if they wish to marry under the law, and collects their signatures, fulfilling both religious and civil requirements in one event. Now, generally, you also have the mayor or one of the mayor's assistant. These person symbolize the civil power. It is also generally the person who makes the bridegroom and witnesses sign the documents, because of course when you get married you need witnesses and you have to sign the atto di matrimonio, like the marriage act, the marriage documents, so your marriage can be valid. You also have to follow a whole procedure to get married and whatnot, but you can do all in one religious ceremony and signing the documents. And then we have the post-chorus, so the promise. Saremo io e te. Da qui sarà per sempre sì. It will be me and you from here. It will be yes forever. Literally, it will be forever yes, as the title says. Of course, this is the promise that happens during the wedding, because just like in many other culture, the groom and the bride are asked by the officiant, do you want to be married in health and yada yada yada, yes or no. They are both supposed to say yes, and this is the yes the song talks about. Again, however, this is the story through which the idea, the concept of commitment is conveyed. Okay, so here we have a very specific story in a very specific context. However, here is more about committing than just the wedding. And this is not my interpretation, this is what Sal Da Vinci said. Anyway, then we have the second verse. So bene che è una grande incognita il futuro, ma insieme a te non mi spaventerà, perché costruiremo tutto, ma non alzeremo un muro, litigare e far l'amore, poi che male c'è? I know well that the future is a great unknown. But with you, it won't scare me because we will build everything, but we won't build a wall. Arguing and then making love, what's the harm in that? Now, here we have a metaphor where the wall metaphorically represents the lack of communication, emotional closure during conflicts. It is a metaphor that you can also find in English when you talk about stonewalling. So, when something is wrong in a relationship and the person, instead of communicating, just closes themselves and refuses to speak, to communicate, and whatnot. Of course, this is not healthy for your relationship. Avoid to do that. And then we have the antithesis between like they are both antitheses. Build but not walls between us, arguing and then making love. Here, of course, is like we will have issues, we will argue, but then the important thing is to reconciliate. So the important thing is to keep communicate. So every time there is something wrong, every time there is a problem, we can face it and solve it. This is a little bit the point. Again, it's not that I can add much more, like it's quite evident the meaning. Then we have the pre-chorus, which is exactly as before. Then we have the chorus, which is exactly as before. And we have a little change in the post-chorus. And here I have to say, it's one of the nicest bridges I saw, because generally what I saw in many Sanremo songs, you have the bridge which just connects the post-chorus or the chorus to the next pre-chorus or the next chorus. So like you sing that part, then you have a bridge, you understand it's a bridge mainly by the music, and then that's it. Here there is a bridge in the words. In fact, he says, saremo io e te, da qui sarà per sempre, but the yes, the sì, is in the bridge. So there is this very nice connection. Sì, soltanto sì. Per questi giorni e mille altri ancora. Un semplice sì, l'eternità è dentro una parola. Yes, just yes for these days and 1,000 more. A simple yes, eternity is inside a single word. Now we have this very nice bridge where the yes is moved to the bridge. E mille altri ancora is an hyperbole. And very simple, nothing like it's not a first timer, but l'eternità è dentro una parola, so eternity is inside a single word, because that yes, ideally, mainly if you are Catholic or from other religions, the wedding is forever. Of course, you have until death takes us apart and whatnot, but ideally, if your souls are connected, it would be also like the until death takes us apart, makes us, I don't remember, finché morte non ci separi in Italian. So until the death of one or the other or both, this agreement will keep going. So it's more legal. Spiritually speaking, the wedding is forever. That's why this commitment is forever. Very romantic, but again, nothing like revolutionary. Then we have the chorus. The chorus is exactly as before. And then we have one last twist in the last post-chorus, wrapping up the song. Saremo io e te, a così sarà per sempre sì. Scusate amici di Napoli, il napoletano non è il mio dialetto, so like just note this is not my dialect, my Napolitan is far from being perfect, but just so you know, you can just hear how like listen how Sal Da Vinci says it, surely better than me, because this is not Italian, this is Napolitan, because it means it will be me and you. So saremo io e te is in Italian as before. But these last two lines are in Napolitan and they mean like this, it will be forever yes. Now, in Napolitan is accussi, in Italian would be saremo io e te così, in questo modo. How? So like this how? Together. Sarà per sempre sì. In Italian would be sarà per sempre sì, which is we have the Italian version in the other post-choruses. And also, of course, in the title. So, just so you know, this is Napolitan. Anyway, what is the opinion in Italy about this win? As I said, doesn't matter who win, doesn't matter like how the Sanremo Music Festival is, there will be always people not being happy about it. Like it is like mathematically impossible that the majority of the Italians will be, yes, what a nice Sanremo Music Festival. The winner was really deserved his or her win. Never. Never is going. This is never going to happen. So what is the first complaint? Because of course we have several. I'm going to take the two main complaints. So the first main complaint is this is the classical Napolitan song. This is the classical neo-melodic song representative of Naples in Campania. This is not representing the whole of Italy. So the risk mainly sending him to the Eurovision because he said forever yes when asked to go to the Eurovision. So many people are complaining about the fact that non-Italians will reinforce their belief according to which Italy is equal Naples, which is objectively something that happens. In fact, every time you see someone from outside of Italy like, oh my god, you have such an Italian accent. No, fun fact, in my case, I don't, because the Italian accent, the stereotypical one, is based on Napolitan dialect. I literally cannot have the stereotypical Italian accent because my Italian accent when I speak English is based on my dialect, which is closer to French. In fact, when people talk with me, speak with me, and they don't know that I am Italian, and this happens both in English and in French, they think that A, I am Spanish, 2, I am Romanian. Because the typical, how can I say, rhythm you have in the words when you have in mind the stereotypical Italian accent is based on the rhythm, okay, and melody Napolitan produces. I don't have that because I don't speak Napolitan. So same thing with the songs. Many people say, Italian music, oh my god, so cool, and things like that. You are actually thinking about musica neomelodica, which is from Naples and generally Campania. Campania is the region where Naples is. However, is this true? Like, is this a real risk? In my opinion, no. If someone wants to reinforce their bias concerning Italian song or their prejudice or stereotypes to fit the biases, to reinforce the biases they already have, there's nothing much you can do, to be fair, because we send to Eurovision really whatever. We send from Mahmood to Marco Mengoni to Maneskin to Angelina Mango. Like, you really had, like, people really had the opportunity to see how different Italian music can be. If someone decides to keep thinking that Italian music is just new melodic music, that's on them. Like, to be fair, we are in 2026. You can literally open YouTube, see what's trending in Italy, or on Spotify, whatever you want, and you are going to see that actually neo melodic songs are just a little bit of what music is in Italy. Also, because we all have the classical music part of Italian culture, which is famous around the world. In fact, Andrea Bocelli is actually one of the most famous singers in internationally speaking. So, I mean, at certain point is a choice. I don't think that sending Sal Da Vinci to Eurovision is going to ruin our reputation, because if people are smart and cultured, they will know that this is part of what Italian music is. And if you don't like it, I'm sorry for you, but yes, this is part of Italian music culture, because I know that some Italians don't like it, but Naples and Campania are indeed part of Italy. So, I don't know. Meh. Also, like, it makes sense for me that the song won, because some people were saying, like, oh, how is it possible that such a banal bad song won? Oh my god, people are so plain. It won just because he is from Naples, and people from Naples vote whatever comes from, like, from Campania, and vote that without even thinking. Like, guys, there were 30 artists, okay? It's true that with the rules from last year, Safe would have won. True. It went like that. Am I surprised? Not really, not really, because this win is a product of the current time. What do I mean with that? I mean that you have to think that the night we had the finale of Sanremo Music Festival 2026, we had a certain amount of people singing. Then we had Sanremo Music Festival who had to forcibly pass the line, like, give space to the news, because at the same time, Iran was being, like, Iran, Qatar, like, countries in the Middle East were being bombed. This is a reaction to what is happening nowadays. And I'm saying this despite the fact that for me, Ermal Metal should have won, because that for me was the best song, okay? But I understand people are tired. It is the same principle of doom scrolling, okay? People feel worried, people feel stressed the majority of the time. This is a clear response saying, for at least this moment, I want to have something light and happy and hopeful in my life. A marriage nowadays, having children, building a future with someone, for many people is not something which realistic is going to happen. I have many people from my age, I'm millennial, or newer generations, really worried about what is going to happen in the future, if we are even going to have a future. These this choice screamed very heavily, I want for a moment to have my happiness. I want to have hope in the future because otherwise I'm not even going to get married because I'm going to die of anxiety. So I know that many people didn't like this win, but this win is a clear message of what people want to hope for. So peaceful times where you just get married and have children and have a big house and everything is going to be okay. Like this win screams, I just want everything to be okay. At least this is how I read this win. Now, second complaint. Oh my god, this song is a cis hetero manifest. There is like nothing, we will never have a song where there is like, yes, guys, I can't deny that Sal Da Vinci is the stereotypical cis hetero guy um, who had a family very young, by the way, because him and his wife are together since they were like 15 and 16, something like that. So, like, very young. The story is very classical, very traditional. However, and this is like a however big as a house, Sal Da Vinci himself in press conference stated something very important, and it's something that we can't really ignore. He said this song is not about his personal story. His personal story is the mean, okay, the vessel through which he was trying to convey this concept, and the concept is commitment to love. Any type of love, to any type of family, in any type of family. It can be the commitment between two people, and this commitment is based on love to generate hope and to build something for the future. That's it. That's it. Of course, the way he's telling this is his story, and it's not that he can tell and impersonate the story of someone else. He got married very young, he just wanted the house with a wife and children and live happily, like what in Italian we call the mulino bianco family. So, like, the classic family where you have the house, you have the children, you have a happy marriage. That's it. That's it. Sal Da Vinci is a simple man. And of course, this is a story of a simple man and a simple woman who had their simple life, and that's it. But the whole point is commitment based on love, opening towards a future together. That's it. Not between men and women, even without the wedding, if you want. It's just the commitment. Because he said, the thing that I don't like is basically the situationships. He says, if you are in a relationship with someone, also not romantic, I think, you have to commit to the relationship and to the person. It doesn't matter if it's in friendship, it doesn't matter if it's in love, as in like between partners, a relationship where it is affection and there is respect because there is commitment. This story is just his POV, but it doesn't apply to everybody. It's just the mean, the vessel to convey the concept, and the concept is commitment based on love. And of course, like, who is he committed to? To his wife. He clearly said that he, like, without his wife he wouldn't reach this point, and things like that. So of course, it is his point of view. It is a song dedicated to his wife. That's it. Nothing more, nothing less. But it is this is not the point. This is the story through which the point is told, and the point is commitment through love, based on love. That's it. But hey, now let me know what you think about Per Sempre Sì by Sal Da Vinci. We are going to talk about in the next video we are going to talk about the song that ranked second in the next video. In the meantime, grazie everyone for watching and arrivederci.